Republican Tom Cotton wins big. Democrats in the 1st and the 4th duke it out again on June 12th. What is the lay of the political land? I'm joined by our Talk Business blogging team. Michael Cook with Cook's Outlook often argues from the Democratic perspective. Jason Tolbert with the Tolbert Report often sides with Republicans and the conservative viewpoints. You can read both of their political blogs on our website at talkbusiness.net. Gentlemen, welcome to the program. Glad to have you both here.
Thank you for having us.
Good to be here. Let's see if we can find some consensus straight out of the gate. Michael first, then Jason.
Sure.
Would you agree with me that Tom Cotton probably was the biggest winner on primary night?
I think he was one of the big winners on primary night. Obviously, he won his primary without a runoff, a significant win. I think it was about 54% of the vote over Beth Ann Rankin, who ran in 2010, and then another, nobody could remember his name by now, even though it's been a week later. But yes, he had a very impressive win. The out-of-state money, the special interest D.C. folks really poured the dollars into this race, and he was able to get up on TV early, make his case, and win without a runoff, which is the best way to win in a primary situation.
Yeah, Jason, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. Everybody was watching that magical 50% mark to see if he could avoid the runoff, and he came in well over it. We were seeing those trends, so we weren't really surprised to see that on election night. But I know Cotton was sweating whether he'd make that mark or not, and he made it. So, hats off to him. Money well spent. He definitely ran a good, solid campaign.
Yeah, I think he came in at about 58% is what it turned out to be. Sure. It was 58 and a little bit more than 20% margin of victory. Wow. Democrats are holding runoffs in the 1st District and in the 4th District. In the 1st District, we've got Scott Ellington versus Clark Hall. Scott Ellington led the ticket. In the 4th District, we've got Gene Jeffress and Q. Byram Hurst. Michael, first on this one, too. Who do you think wins those two runoffs?
Starting in the 1st District, Ellington surprised everybody by coming in first. Not only that, but he was 300 votes or give or take from winning the whole thing without a runoff. Ellington did not do a good job of raising money, but he had that name recognition up there in the first northeast part of the district, which is where almost all the votes are. So his doing well, it bodes well for him in the runoff. So I would put money on Ellington probably winning this thing in the runoff.
And down in the 4th District?
And down in the 4th, I would probably give it to Gene Jeffress. Gene Jeffress, the same thing, had no money for television, ran a 1970s-style campaign, but still led the ticket, even though his opponent, Q. Byram Hurst, had a lot of money and put it up on television. But good old-fashioned name recognition helped Gene Jeffress along with Scott Ellington. And the Jeffress name is known down in deep South Arkansas because Jeffress' brother, Senator Jimmy Jeffress, is also a state senator. Yeah. So he's kind of the one to beat in this runoff as well.
All right, Jason, do you agree, disagree?
I agree completely.
Tell me why.
Well, I think what we really saw was this was a low turnout primary, and it was the down-the-ballot races, the races for sheriff, the races for the state legislature that was driving the turnout, not these congressional races. And so Ellington was able to go in with the name recognition that he had and almost avoid a runoff in spite of being well outspent by the Hall campaign. So I think he still has that advantage. June's either going to be a smaller turnout than the May first primary was. And then down in the 4th, I agree with Michael as well. Senator Jeffries really has an advantage there based on the geography of that district. There's several runoffs in the part of the state where he's going to do well. And those state Senate runoffs, those state representative runoffs, that will drive the turnout and cause him to probably coast to a victory down there. I think he wins by a big margin.
One thing I would add, though, is for even though both Jason and I agree on these eventual winners, runoffs are quirky. And they're nothing like the primary, so there's a possibility, I say a slight possibility, we could be in for a shock on one of these districts, but that's just the nature of runoffs.
Michael's just hedging his bets there, I think.
They're quirky. They're very quirky.
And I agree. It's going to be such a low turnout. It depends on who shows up.
Republicans are crowing that Obama's poor performance and unenthusiastic Democratic kind of showing in the primary there is ominous for November. I would say that you've got some Republicans right now that may be a little bit overconfident about their chances in November. Would you agree?
I don't know if you'd say overconfident. I think what we saw was a confirmation of what we already know. Barack Obama is not popular in Arkansas. And you had Democrats voting in their own primary that were so much don't want Barack Obama to get another term that they voted for somebody that they really have never even heard of. And so you saw a huge protest vote from an unknown Tennessee attorney. And when you have that much of the party primary voters voting the other way at the top of the ticket, that's going to be hard for the down-the-ballot races to overcome in November. They're going to have to get the voters who are voting for the Republican candidate, for Mitt Romney, at the top of the ticket, to switch and vote back to the Democrat side when they get down the ballot. And that's going to be a real tough effort for them to do.
And, Michael, would you agree that that is going to be the challenge for these local offices?
I think the Republicans are overconfident. I mean, Obama is not popular in Arkansas. There's no doubt about that. The Tuesday's election results kind of quantify that. He's not popular here. He's going to lose Arkansas. He's going to lose it big. But Arkansans are notorious ticket splitters. We love voting for one person and one party in one race and one person in another. I mean, you look back to 2010, it was a Republican tsunami where Democrats, we lost a U.S. Senate seat, we lost 2 congressional seats, but yet at the same time where Democrats were losing big, Governor Mike Beebe won all 75 counties and probably the largest margin of a governor's race since 1976. So Arkansans have a history of splitting their tickets. But more than that, Arkansans love voting against the Democratic nominee for president. Since 1968, the only time we've ever voted for a Democrat for president was Bill Clinton twice and Jimmy Carter in 1976. Every other time, it's been Republican. So these Democrats have got to show that they're their own person, that they're going to work with Governor Beebe to push his agenda forward, and that they're on the side of the regular Arkansans.
Jason, is the tsunami still flowing over the state of Arkansas?
I think it definitely has the potential, and part of what Michael said is absolutely right. Republicans should not be overconfident at this point. There's still a lot of game left to play. So if you want to think of it like a football game, we're just at halftime. There's still another half left to play before you get to the final. What I think you'll see is this is the first time probably in the history of Arkansas that Republicans have a generic advantage going into the election. And so it's just a different game for Democrats not having that advantage. They've always had that. And so both parties are going to have to kind of re-strategize how do they win. And, these state legislative races are won and lost on the local level. And so you'll certainly see some Democrats do well if there's a weak Republican candidate. But overall, the Republican generic advantage is going to be the thing that changes this year.
All right, we got about 60 seconds left. Anybody want to put a number on what the outcome's going to be in the state house and in the state senate? What are the numbers going to be on the senate on the Democrat side?
I don't know about hard numbers, but I believe the Democrats hold both the House and the Senate. We have a lot of great candidates who are going to work with Governor Beebe to push his agenda forward. They're going to show that the Republicans are going to want to say no to everything that Governor Beebe proposes, and we're going to show that Democrats are on the side of good old-fashioned working folks.
All right, what's the counter message?
I think Republicans probably get around 20 seats in the Senate. I think they take a pretty strong majority. I think they already have 17 or 18. They're almost given, and there's going to be maybe about 5 or 6 toss-ups above that. So split those toss-ups in half. I think I have around 20. And the state House side, I think you'll see it probably in the 50s, maybe mid-50s for Republicans.
All right, we'll come back to that. We'll come back to these predictions later. We got Michael Cook, Cook's Outlook, Jason Tolbert, the Tolbert Report. They're both at talkbusiness.net. Gentlemen, thank you both for being here.
Thank you.
Walmart is celebrating its 50th anniversary this week. Of course, you may remember the Mexican bribery scandal that made huge headlines about a month ago. That scandal sunk the company's stock, didn't it? Not hardly. We do Walmart by the numbers when we return.